Hello everybody, Clich'e here, and welcome to my third updated Pixar Easter eggs video. In this video I'll be showing you all of John Ratzenberger's Pixar roles. For those of you who don't know who John Ratzenberger is, well, you might know that he played Cliff the Mailman from the show Cheers. And he's done the voice of a character in every single Pixar film to date. But of course, I'm only going to be showing his Pixar roles. Now, I'm not including his role in Incredibles 2 because that movie is still in theaters, but you probably already know who it is by watching the first film, so enjoy. In Toy Story, John Ratzenberger voiced Ham the Piggy Bank. We first see him at the beginning when Andy's playing with his toys, and then he first talks after the toys come to life.
I don't get it.
In A Bug's Life, John Ratzenberger voiced Petey Flea, the ringmaster. We first see him after Dim and Rosie's performance when a bug asks him for a refund, but he refuses.
No refunds after the first 2 minutes.
In Toy Story 2, John Ratzenberger reprised his role as Ham. We first see him in this film when Woody's looking for his hat, and Ham looks out the window and he says,
The lawn gnome next door says it's not in the yard, but he'll keep looking.
In Monsters Incorporated, John Ratzenberger voiced the abominable snowman. We see him after Sully and Mike have been banished to the Himalayas in the human world, and he says,
Welcome to the Himalayas!
In Finding Nemo, John Ratzenberger voiced the school of moonfish that does impressions for Dory and tells her and Marlin how to get to Sydney.
What you want to do is follow the EAC. That's East Australian Current. Big current. Can't miss it. It's in that direction.
In The Incredibles, John Ratzenberger voiced the Underminer. We only see him at the end of the film after Dash's race when he's declaring a war.
Behold the Underminer! I am always beneath you, but nothing is beneath me! I hereby declare war on peace and happiness! Soon all will tremble before me!
In Cars, John Ratzenberger voiced Mack, McQueen's driver. We first hear his voice when he's asking McQueen who's inside his trailer if he's ready. We then see him in the scene where McQueen asks him where his trailer is.
I parked it over your sponsor's tent.
What?
You gotta make your personal appearance.
In Ratatouille, John Ratzenberger voiced Mustafa the waiter. We first see him in the scene where we come into Gusteau's kitchen for the first time. This is one of Ratzenberger's least recognizable roles because he mixes his voice with a French accent since Mustafa's French.
So what is that? What is new?
You?
What do I tell them?
Well, what did you tell them?
I told them I would ask!
What are you blathering about? Customers are asking what is new.
What should I tell them?
What did you tell them?
I told them I would ask!
In WallE, John Ratzenberger voiced John. We first see him in the scene when WallE's following Eve, and John tries to hand WallE his empty cup thinking that he's a drink bot, and he falls out of his chair.
Stewards! Hello!
Please remain stationary. A service bot will be here to assist you momentarily.
What's that? What's going on?
John?
Eva?
No. John.
In Up, John Ratzenberger voiced construction foreman Tom. We see him in the scene after Carl Fredricksen blows the dust off of his mailbox, and he tells him that his boss is after his house.
Well, just to let you know, my boss will be happy to take this whole place off your hands and for double his last offer. What do you say to that? I'll take that as a no then.
In Toy Story 3, John Ratzenberger again reprised his role as Ham. We first see him in this film in Young Andy's imagination when he's evil Dr. Porkchop.
That's Mr. Evil Dr. Porkchop to you.
In Cars 2, John Ratzenberger reprised his role as Mack. We first see him in this film after McQueen has arrived home to Radiator Springs.
Boy, these best friend greetings, they get longer every year.
In Brave, John Ratzenberger voiced Gordon the Guard. We only see him in the scene when the three lords enter. This is another one of Ratzenberger's least recognizable roles because he talks with a Scottish accent since Gordon's Scottish.
My lord! What to announce the arrival of the large...
In Monsters University, John Ratzenberger reprised his role as the abominable snowman. We only see him at the end when Sully and Mike are sorting mail.
All right, newbies, quit goofing around. I'll have you know tampering with the mail is a crime punishable by banishment.
In Inside Out, John Ratzenberger voiced this light blue mine worker named Fritz. We only see him at the end of the film when he's telling Riley's emotions that their new console is ready.
All right, here you go. Your new expanded console is up and running.
In The Good Dinosaur, John Ratzenberger voiced Earl the Velociraptor. We see him in the scene where Arlo meets the Velociraptor wrestlers when he answers the leader Bubba's "What do we do with trespassers?" question by saying,
We kill him!
This is another one of Ratzenberger's least recognizable roles because I think he talks with a southern accent. In Finding Dory, John Ratzenberger voiced Bill the Crab. We see him in the scene where his wife tells Dory that all the blue tangs are in quarantine. This is yet another one of Ratzenberger's least recognizable roles because he sounds like he's on helium.
Yep, blue tangs are getting their own exhibit in Cleveland. Being shipped out on a truck at the crack of dawn. Must be nice.
In Cars 3, John Ratzenberger again reprised his role as Mack. Similar to the first film, we first hear his voice when he's asking McQueen who's inside his trailer if he's ready, then we see him when he leads with McQueen, Luigi, and Guido to the Rusty's Racing Center.
Rusty's Racing Center, here we go. Good times ahead.
And finally, in Coco, John Ratzenberger voiced Juan Ortodoncia, a skeleton in the land of the dead with bad teeth. We only see him when he's getting his face scanned to see if anybody put a picture of him when he was alive on their ofrenda. This is yet another one of Ratzenberger's least recognizable roles because he mixes his voice with a Mexican accent because Juan's Mexican and his only line is just one word.
Gracias.
Which is Spanish for thank you. Well, that's it for John Ratzenberger's Pixar roles. Join me next week when I'll be concluding these videos with the other Pixar Easter eggs.